Today, I'm spilling the tea about anxiety. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is a very cold and blustery day in Connecticut, so I thought today would be a good opportunity to just sit down and chat about anxiety. As we're all in quarantine and kind of just in this limbo period, I know that mental health and anxiety is super important and it is something that we all should be talking about. So I'm one of the lucky few people who didn't really experience anxiety all throughout high school or pretty much until my second year of college. In my sophomore year, I started to experience a lot of academic anxiety. I remember when I was in high school and I had never experienced it, I genuinely couldn't wrap my head around like how someone could be feeling so anxious and freaking out and stressed in a situation that's inherently not stressful. I used to be so confident with public speaking, and now since I've had anxiety for about like a year or year and a half-ish, now whenever I have to like speak publicly or do a presentation, I understand that feeling of like being in front of people and you feel so hot and your hands get sweaty and it's so nerve-wracking. Since I started seeking professional help for my anxiety back in September, I've learned so many different tools and tricks to cope with it in the moment and to change my mindset so that I can kind of work with anxiety instead of like resisting it all the time. These are the top 8 things that have helped me the most with coping with my anxiety over the past year and a half, but it's also okay to reach out to professionals for help. I will leave some resources in the description below if you want to reach out. That being said, let's get started with talking about these 8 tips and tricks. Tip number 1 that I've used to cope with anxiety is mindful meditation. So this doesn't mean like just sitting on your bed and being like, oh, or whatever the stereotype for like meditation is. If I'm feeling really anxious, I close my eyes and I allow myself to just sit with the anxiety. I don't try to push it away, and allowing yourself to feel those feelings of anxiety takes away the power from it. And my therapist has described anxiety, or at least the anxiety that I have, as like a monster that's always trying to like take control of your life. The more power that you give it holding over you, the stronger it becomes. And if you allow it to do its thing and just like sit with it for a while, that takes away the power from it because it's not freaking you out anymore. You're learning how to just sit with it and experience it and feel the feelings, and then it's over with. This is something that I use in the moment when I'm actually feeling anxious, but quiet meditation once a day has also helped me a ton. I would highly recommend the Headspace app. This isn't sponsored, but I have been using this app for about a year now. What I really like about Headspace is that you can choose specific categories. So I do all of the Headspace sessions for anxiety, but you can also do them for like stress or wanting to be happier. There's so many different guided meditations that you can do. Practice over time definitely helps. It's not gonna work the first time you try it because you're just gonna be thinking like, what am I doing right now? But yeah, definitely try out meditation. Tip number 2 is to unplug. And I know that like right now it is so easy to just sit on our phones and scroll all day through Instagram, Twitter, like whatever your social media of choice is. Instead of constantly scrolling through all these apps, it can be really helpful to go on your phone onto these social media apps and spend time deliberately connecting with the people that you love and care about. And then instead of just kind of feeding through all of these apps and just being mindless about it, you're being very intentional about who you're talking to, the people in your life that are going to bring you positivity instead of negativity. So it is okay to just sit on your phone and scroll, but if it's starting to give you anxiety and be a trigger, being more deliberate about your actions on social media can definitely be a big help. This kind of brings me into tip number 3, which is recognizing your vices and if you've been using them as a crutch. So what I mean by this is that everyone has their vice. Some examples of potentially harmful vices would be if you're coping with anxiety in quarantine by drinking or smoking or using drugs. More positive, I guess, vices would be like binging Netflix, which I've definitely been doing, and then scrolling through social media and other things like that. Now, this doesn't refer to like actual addiction. That is a completely different thing, but coping mechanisms can be different in every person, and it's important to know what your coping mechanism is and how you can manage it. So recognizing these patterns can be super helpful, and they can just overall decrease your anxiety. Tip number 4 is journaling. Like I mentioned before, the majority of my anxiety anxiety comes straight from academics. So when I have a lot of other things stressing me out besides academics, my anxiety just gets like 10 times worse and I feel super stressed out. My bullet journal is one thing that I use to pretty much track my entire life. When I have those trackers like constantly going, I have some way to measure my progress. It decreases my anxiety significantly. When I'm falling asleep at night, sometimes if I have a lot on my mind will just be spinning and racing about all the things I need to do the next day, all of the deadlines and due dates that I have coming up. And so what I'll do is go on my phone in the notes section and just type out everything. And then as soon as I've written it down, internally, I know that all of those thoughts and feelings are recorded so that I'll have them for the next day if I need to come back to them. So I've done this for a really long time now, even since before I had anxiety, but writing down these lists can be a super helpful tool in clearing your mind when you just have so much going on up there. Tip number 5 is to set a certain time to watch the news every day. This might be a little difficult depending on your situation, and right now the news only has COVID-related things to report. So it's kind of just like a constant bombardment of COVID information, which can be super stressful and triggering. So if you're living on your own and you still want to stay updated with the news, try to like set a certain time period and set a limit on how much news you're going to watch in one day, because if you just keep ruminating on it, it can be really, really stressful. And if you're living with people who want to watch the news all the time, try to have a place that you can retreat to and then come out and check out the news like whenever you feel ready to. Tip number 6 is to write out a routine, but don't beat yourself up if you don't follow it. Having all of this free time, but still having so much to do can be really difficult to prioritize when you're gonna get all these things done. So it can be really helpful to sit down and kind of schedule out what your ideal day would be. Use this as a framework for your day so that you have an idea of your time periods that you're gonna be doing certain things. But if you don't follow it exactly like to the time on the dot, don't beat yourself up. And if there are certain days where you wanna switch around the schedule, that's fine too. It's good for people who like to have a little bit of structure in their day, and this will allow you to plan that, but you also don't want to be too hard on yourself because then it could be a little counterproductive and then you'll get anxiety over not following your schedule. So having a schedule with a little bit of flexibility can be really helpful for anxiety. Tip number 7 is to move your body. And research has shown time and time again that exercise, whether it be low intensity or high intensity or whatever you want to do, moving your body can decrease stress and anxiety so much. Try to do whatever movement feels best for you. And this could be as simple as taking like a 15-minute stretch break. And there are tons and tons of videos on YouTube that are workout videos or yoga videos or just stretching videos. Watching these YouTube videos can really help you guide your workouts if you're used to taking classes, or just kind of give you a little bit more creativity when it comes to thinking of workouts. Moving your body can decrease stress and anxiety by so much. So if you're feeling anxious, moving your body can kind of just clear your mind and give you a little bit more headspace. My last tip is number 8, and it's to know that whatever you're feeling right now is okay. And I know that I've been seeing a lot of things about like taking advantage of this time or using this time as an opportunity to like get fit. And if you want to do that, by all means, that is totally fine. Like if you want to use this as an opportunity to learn how to run a marathon, do that. But if you also are having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, that is okay. This is one of the worst times of year for seasonal depression and a lot of mental health issues right now. So it's okay to kind of develop your own plan about how to deal with your anxiety and stress, but you want to make sure that you're not doing things that are accidentally detrimental to your mental health. So if you're really feeling overwhelmed with all this, please make sure to reach out to some professionals who can really help you learn some tools to cope with all of this. And like I said before, you can always reach out to me to talk. You guys know where to reach me. Please just know that whatever you're dealing with right now, it's going to be okay and it's going to get better. And eventually we will be let out of our houses. So just keep hanging in there. And those are all of the tools that I have for you today. I want to say thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video. And I also want to say shout out to last week's comment winner. I love you guys so much and I'm so happy that you guys take the time to comment on my videos. I also forgot to say thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Like, you guys literally mean so much to me, and seeing all of your comments and you guys reaching out to me on Instagram. So please make sure, if you haven't subscribed yet, to join this little community that we're building. And I will always remember my OG subscribers, especially the ones who comment all the time. Like, I remember your names and I know who you are. You guys have literally supported me since my channel had like 100 subscribers. And now that I'm still like a small YouTuber, but like you guys are still around. So that's super cool. And I'm really happy. So thank you guys.